Hello, you lovely people. It is me, Brownie. I hope you're doing well. I want to apologize in advance on this video because being a review, I would love it if I could make it differently. I think I made something like that for Tears of the Kingdom, but I was not as excited for Tears of the Kingdom and how it ended up being. Sorry if you hear the airplane. I'm recording through means on the PlayStation 4, muting the game music and all that jazz to record my audio on this mic to later upload it, edit it on the phone, and put it out there. And most likely it's going to have a different clip, maybe Metroid Prime, someone on YouTube, and I'm going to give a shout out in the description and in the comment section. But anyway, I wanted to make a review of Metroid Prime 4. I know a lot of people have said their piece. I know a lot of people say it's the worst game ever made. And I want to give my own 2 cents into it. Now, I want to give you guys a heads up. I do not have a lot of free time in my hands, so I use the phone's AI to help me make a review on this. I touch on subjects that I liked, that I disliked, my tangents, my nitpicks, and it created this review, which you probably will hear me like I'm reading something. That's part of the review that it wrote for me. So if it bothers you that I used AI for this, you can leave. But if you don't mind that, you can stick around. Also, if you are quite sensitive on opinions, I advise you guys not to stay here. Anyway, let's start with the review of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I titled it The Evolution That Fans Need, Not the One They Wanted. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is a monumental release, not just for the Nintendo Switch, but for the entire Metroid franchise. Developed by the returning Retro Studios, it is a statement of technical prowess and narrative ambition. While some longtime fans are struggling with its new approach, this is a necessary and highly polished evolution that successfully creates a bridge between hardcore tradition and accessible modern action adventure. Now, I'm going to be talking about the pros and the cons, question mark, because many of the cons I had to take from other people, because these cons, they really didn't bother me, but I hear it's a major complaint for many others. But I put them in because I acknowledge those. Anyway, the pros. Technical marvel. This game is a staggering technical achievement, performing at a buttery smooth 60 frames per second, even on the original Switch 1 hardware. The refined gamepad controls are highly polished, feeling intuitive and natural, solidifying the classic, high-quality Metroid Prime feel. After years of anticipation, the stability and control responsiveness alone are worthy celebrating. I did not expect this game to run 60 frames per second on the Switch 1. I hear a lot of people talking so much garbage on the Switch 1 tech, the stupid argument of it having old tech when the PS5 had old tech when it launched. Every device has old tech when they launch. If you do research on computers, phones, devices, like CES that they do every year in January, you would know this. But hearing so many people talking negatively on the hardware Switch 1, when I saw this game running 60 frames per second, I was so giddy. I felt like a little kid, and I was so happy. And I can't even imagine running this game on the Switch 2 whenever I get this. But that was so good. And I chose the gamepad controls because my Joy-Cons do not work. I need to get some replacements. So I went to a third-party controller that looks like a Wii U Pro controller, 3DO, something like that. Something. Let me see. It's 8-bit do 8-bit do 8-bit do. So I got a adapter for that. I got a Wii U Pro controller that connects to the dock of the Switch, and I played Metroid Prime 4 like that, and it felt nostalgic in a way, because I have Metroid Prime 1 and 2 on the GameCube. I played those versions a lot with the GameCube controller. So having the Wii U Pro controller playing Metroid Prime 4, that felt so good. I would love to play this game again on hard mode with motion controls, because I feel like that game mode is so fun. Joy-Con controls, motion controls really don't bother me as many other people. I feel like other people, either they don't move their body a lot, or they have the mentality that gaming should just be twiddling their thumbs and that's it. I find it boring, but to each their own. Second point, exceptional auditory experience. The sound design is a masterclass in immersion. The score, composed by the veterans Kenji Yamamoto and Minako Hamano, delivers a fantastic atmosphere. It genuinely feels like a Prime game, with music that creates a deeply real alien world, completed by crisp shot effects and decent, non-cringe voice acting that serves the story without distracting from the experience. Many people were talking negatively how the NPCs, the characters on this game, that the simple fact that they were talking, a lot of people did not like that. They sounded fine for me. The sound design of this game, very much like a Metroid Prime game. The music of this game, very much like a Metroid Prime game. And not to bash on Dread, but the music on Dread did not feel like a Metroid game. You could put that music on another sci-fi, probably sci-fi horror game, and it could probably fit there. But Retro Studios really took their time on grabbing the feel or manifesting the feel of a Metroid Prime music, of how it would sound like, how it would feel like, how can we get the player immersed in there, and they did a great job at that. A welcome mat for new fans. The game deserves immense credit for its pacing and approachability. While previous titles were famous for making players perpetually lost, Beyond's reduced emphasis on cryptic navigation makes it refreshingly beginner-friendly. This intentional design welcomes a new generation of fans, allowing them to appreciate the core movement and world building of the Prime series without the constant frustration of being stuck. This is a lot of negative for many, but I feel like the Metroid franchise needs this. A lot of people's point on not getting into a Metroid Prime game is because they play it a little bit, they don't know where to go, and then they give up. I know I'm acquainted with a speedrunner who does Legend of Zelda speedruns and Mario speedruns, where we tried to get her into the Metroid franchise with at least Hollow Knight, and she could not get into it. Like, she appreciated the visuals, the movement, and all that, but she got lost easily, and she pretty much gave up on that game, which sucks, because Hollow Knight is a great game. But again, this is why the team's approach of making accessible for newcomers, it's a good choice. Franchise needs that, especially if people claim and they want Metroid franchise to be as big as Zelda so badly. They need to do things like that. And it did not diminish, it did not ruin veteran players, in my opinion, at least the ones who aren't stubborn on making the franchise stick to old ways. But there was some hand-holding, but it didn't bother me. I think there was a tutorial option where you can turn off. If people didn't know about that, you know now. Like, you can go to the options at the beginning and turn tutorial off. I don't know if it takes away of the character telling you where to go, but Prem 1 also had a computer that told you where to go, so I don't know what to complain on that. But anyway, I feel like the team did a fantastic job on this, making it beginner friendly. There's still some puzzles here and there to get some tanks, some missile upgrades, some ammo upgrades, and they were fun. They were pretty much like a Metroid Prime game. I wish there was more, but we'll get into that. Now we're going to the cons. We're beyond stumbles. Ambitions versus execution. The monotonous desert hub. The large open desert area and the use of the Viola bike, intended to bridge exploration gaps, ultimately falls flat. While this attempt at an atmospheric open region is understandable, the segment feels monotonous. The intentional lack of varying music and active elements makes this section a slog for many players. Now, before I talked about the pros, I mentioned that I was gonna talk about the cons, but question mark. Because these are complaints of many people, but not mine. I did not find the desert area monotonous nor boring, for the simple fact of the lore, which I'll touch multiple times in this con section, because we are in a planet where the race is extinct. There's not much life going in there. So, would it make sense if a supposed planet where the race they had highly advanced tech still had life on it, like the desert area where it explains they try to make things grow, make it a place where you can produce food, have it less harsh environments. Would it make sense if that area of the desert was not like that? That's a question for y'all. Anyway, the second point, the cost of Other M, an unemotional Samus. Perhaps the game's greatest narrative weakness stems from an unfortunate overcorrection. Following the fierce community's backlash to Samus's emotional characterization in Metroid Other M, the dev team appears to have minimized her internal presence. The resulting lack of expression and emotional growth makes Samus less relatable, sacrificing genuine character depth for what seems like narrative safety. Now, Other M is hated by many people. Not by me. I know a few others who do not hate Other M. They like Other M. They acknowledge the flaws, but they still have fun with the game. They still love it. The backlash of Other M was so bad that we're seeing it right now. We see Samus in Dread having some certain emotions. That's, by the way, the timeline in Prime 4 is between Super Metroid and Fusion, so probably after Other M, something like that. Who knows? But her personality in Dread is what fans always thought of Samus of. Badass, someone who does not fall easily, nothing phases her. And when we got more in-depth characterization of Samus in Other M, it destroyed the pedestal they had for Samus for years. I feel like that's why one of the many reasons why people hate Other M. The control thing, yeah, you can have a reason there, but... And that's my dog, by the way. Probably... There's a cat around. Anyway. People were so harsh on Other M and how Samus was portrayed there, because to many, she's the boss. No one tells her what to do. Nothing phases her. And when we got characters like Adam, which is a father figure for Samus, and someone like that telling her what to do, it broke many people. But if you realize that Adam was a father figure to Samus, someone who lost their parents at an early age, you would maybe, if you're human with emotions, you would understand why someone who would you see as a father figure, you would actually obey. You would actually give their opinions a space in your mind, in your heart. But anyway, I'm going a bit too long on this point, but before moving on, Dread Samus had the image of what many people have of her. In Prime 4, because of the backlash of the community, they gave little expressions for Samus and how she was feeling. For example, when we get that character who was a huge fan of Samus, you can kind of feel like Samus being a little bit embarrassed, a little bit blushing there, but you don't get much movement there in her body language when she about to send that character and another person away from the lava area because it's about to explode. You can see some type of hesitation in her. I don't know if I can see it, maybe others. If you saw it, please point it out in the comment section. And the sniper guy, if like before the finale, there's a moment where Samus interacts a lot with the sniper guy, and you can see bit by bit where she gets more comfortable with him, tries to reach out because she and that sniper guy are kind of like relatable. That makes her comfortable. But for many people, you won't see that because I could tell the dev team was afraid to give some type of emotion that wasn't stoic on Samus, that wasn't badass on Samus, because of the backlash on the Other M. Anyway, moving on. Shallow antagonist motivation. The primary villain, Silex, suffers from a lack of compelling backstory and development. His motivations, centering on jealousy of Samus and revenge on the Galactic Federation, are perceived by many as petty. This lack of depth leads to a less satisfying narrative paying off in the final confrontation. Now, I feel like this complaint, I could understand you on this, but I feel like we're too soon to judge on this. Having a character, an antagonist, that's fueled by jealousy and revenge is not petty. We've seen it done on films, books, and other characters in video games so many times. And throughout the years, as they flesh out that character, it turned out to be pretty nice. Pretty decent, nice, not horrible. Just good. So I feel like we're too soon to rush on Silex on how he is. My theory on Silex is, because another thing people don't understand why he was in that area, in the final area, with those psychic abilities, I feel like he was there way before Samus was and the team were even on that area, and Silex just probably destroyed or killed the last guy in there and forced its way to those pods that had some type of psychic energy in it, and that's why it was able to do some psychic abilities. But that's just a very raw theory. I haven't added anything in there. I cooked with it. I would love to play the game again to do a more in-depth search on some things that he might have left in there, because he was controlling Metroids. How was he able to do that? And the Metroids were fused with the bosses of the game. How did he get there in the first place? Like, I feel like this place was a trap in a way, but I digress. This is an extended part of the review. It's talking more on the community. Like, I did a bit here and on the emotionless Samus thing. It's said as follows: the community backlash and miscontext. It is essential to push back against the prevailing narrative that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is a betrayal of the franchise. Much of the online community's harsh criticism fundamentally misses the context of what this game is trying to achieve: survival and growth. Point number 1, people say it's too easy or too guided. The reality: Retro Studios did not dumb down the game. They made the accessible exploration a feature to grow the fan base. A modern $70 title cannot afford to opaque design philosophy of 2002. And by that, it means still going by the old ways of not knowing where to go, no hints, no nothing, like the previous Metroid games had. Prime and Fusion did not have this, but Prime 4 had more details to make the player feel less lost, hence the linearity and the other characters talking and reminding you where to go. This is a smart move that retains the feel of Prime while eliminating its most common barrier to entry. This goes back to the point I mentioned of my acquaintance who's a speedrunner, and where we tried to get her into Metroid series, or at least Metroidvania. We got her, at least one of her friends got her Hollow Knight. She appreciated the visuals and movement, the music, but as soon as she got stuck, it was over. Like, she hasn't played that game again since, which it breaks my heart, because Hollow Knight is really good, but not many people are into where the heck I need to go type of games. And especially if the community really wants this franchise to grow, as they claim. Like, it needs some type of accessibility, and at the same time have veteran players the option to not have that help, because I think the options menu has tutorials off, and that is helpful. They could tweak a bit on the future on having the option of having yes or no tutorials, and navigation hints also like an option. If it was there in Prime 4, I did not realize, but for Prime 5 and 6, that would be great. For the veterans, having options is great, people. Point number 2. Samus is a block of wood. This is touching again on the emotionless Samus thing. The reality: this is arguably the community's own fault. It really is. The developers were likely reacting to the intense... I'm getting a lot of alerts on my phone, sorry about that. The developers were likely reacting to the intense negative feedback surrounding Other M. The desire to expand the world and deepen the narrative was met by a community that paradoxically demanded a silent, expressionless protagonist, something they claimed they wanted, but now they're criticizing that Samus is emotionless, not expressing anything when characters are interacting with her. Like, what do you want? Like, supposed Metroid fans, what do you want? And what other thing? The backlash on the other end, I mentioned that people don't want Samus with emotions. They just want this stoic badass that nothing phases her. No one tells her what to do. They want that. They're thinking it's quite selfish, really. When character like Samus, a warrior of her caliber, has layers, and you can see it on the manga and hints of the game throughout the years. She has layers, but when the dev team tries to go in those layers so the players could know and probably relate to that, they get mad at that. And this goes to Federation Force as well on a 3DS game that came out in 2015, I think. Many people were so mad of a Metroid game that did not have Samus playable. That was the major complaint of Federation Force. The game is decent. The game is good. It also has lore on the Federation. Something that I really hope they touch more on, because Fusion had something negative on the Federation. So yeah, there's that. But really, the community, what do you actually want? Are you actually fans of Samus, of the Metroid franchise, or are you just fans of sci-fi and fans of the genre? Really think deep on that question, because many show they're fans of sci-fi and the genre, not the franchise. Point number 3. Where are the classic monsters and pirates? I was looking forward to seeing some pirates here and there, and some part of me wanted to see Ridley just for the heck of it, and part of me did not want to see Ridley, because we're over that. The reality, the limited enemy variety is a deliberate commitment to narrative consistency, hence the race being extinct by trying to save their planet with their green liquid and backfiring so many times. And we have the desert area as a result of that. It showed that the planet is not truly lifeless, but it was mostly flora and fauna and some things that I don't want to spoil in case you guys haven't played the game or haven't read the scans and the files. But yeah, that was intentional. I could understand people's negativity on the linearity and the environment of the desert and the lack of enemy variety, but it was all for the lore. Once I understood it was all for the lore, it didn't bother me as much. Like, I would have wished to see enemy variety, yes. Would I have loved to see some cool things in the desert that wasn't lifeless all the time? Yes. But when the dev team tied that to their lore of the... Oh my god, I forgot the race, because it's been a while. The race who were tampering with the rock and created this psychic energy and green liquid, and I could understand why things were how they created the choices they made. But that's how I see it. Many people didn't. The new Guardians of Prime DNA. This context is a vital to truly appreciate Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. The development team that delivered this high-polished 60 frames per second experience is not the original team responsible for the first Prime trilogy. Very important line or sentence, I will read it again. The development team that delivered this high-polished 60 frames per second experience on Switch 1 is not the original team responsible for the first Prime trilogy. Many key veterans had departed Retro Studios. The team behind Beyond is composed of new talent who had to meticulously learn the intricacies of the Prime engine and its design philosophy. Their process involved first mastering the original aesthetic and structure, likely through their experience on Metroid Prime Remastered, before being able to confidently expand the universe. That they were able to deliver a game that not only performed flawlessly, but captures the core feel of a Metroid Prime title, despite the turnover and the monumental expectations, is perhaps the game's greatest unstated achievement. This new talent deserves commendation for respecting the past while successfully guiding the franchise into a modern era. Guys, how many people do you know, or if you experience this, please comment it. How many of you experienced that we're getting a new game, a new installment of our favorite franchise, and it's not handled by the same people who did your previous favorite games? How nervous did you feel? How confidently would you say that they would capture the feel of the game? Right? And the fact that the team did this, the sound design, the music, the voice acting was not cringy. They were not trying too hard. They were just right. And the level design, the key areas felt like a Metroid game, a Metroid Prime game. That deserves praise. And especially the high expectations the team probably feeling from the community. The hurdle of this game's process, because the announcement was back at summer 2017, and then we got news around 2019, 2020, where you could find the video somewhere, probably in, I don't know the exact name, but Nintendo had to make an apology video regarding Metroid Prime 4 because Retro was not the people who were handling this. But now, after that apology video, they were getting Retro Studios. And it's comforting by name, but not comforting the fact that not the same people who worked on Prime 1, 2, and 3 were not there. So it was a little nerve-wracking that I don't know. It's just I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, like how stressed you would have to be, how many hours you did not sleep, did not meet your family to get this right, because this is not such a popular franchise, but it's beloved by many through word to voice, and you want to deliver this really well. Not really experienced it, only experienced on the remastered side, but a new one that deserves some praise. That really deserves some praise. In conclusion, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is an undeniable success. Its technical achievement on the Switch are monumental. Its controls are perfect and the music is a triumph. While the new traversal areas and the antagonists could use more depth, which I do agree, I still enjoy it, but I do agree on this point, these issues are minor relative to the overall experience. Retro Studios has proven that they can deliver a modern, high-polished title that respects the past while fearlessly embracing the future. I gave this game an 8 out of 10. When I was using the AI, like talking to it, making the review for me with my points, my pros and cons, and the AI just structured this review for me, it gave it a 9 out of 10. Like, okay, I guess I'm taking it, but for the record, I gave it an 8. But this written review, based on what I said to the AI, it's a 9 out of 10. So, I know a lot of people would disagree, and I don't care. I already said that the Metroid fanboys, the fans, I feel like they're more fans of the genre and the sci-fi than the franchise itself. Because if they were fans of the franchise and truly a fan of Samus, they would be overjoyed on seeing more layers of Samus, seeing her interact with other characters, connecting the dots on how she was in the past, how she is right now, because Prime 4 is between Super Metroid and Metroid Dread. Seeing the environment of the planet we're at, when you scan and find out why it's like this, how were the people, how was their tech, why did they fail, why was there lack of enemy variety. If you were truly a Metroid Prime fan, a Metroid fan in general, you would take these and realize, oh, so that's why. You know what? I can appreciate that. And none of y'all can say that's bogus, they shouldn't do it that way. How the heck of Legend of Zelda fans doing their timeline thing? Explain to me that. How the heck are people with the Soul series, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, which the lore is found through a lot of reading in the game, investigating, and when you realize how through that lore how the world is, why the people are like that, you appreciate the game more. If you actually love the franchise, you would appreciate the game more. So yeah, I repeat this question. Are you truly a fan of Metroid, the franchise? Are you truly a fan of Samus, a character with layers? Or are you just fan of the genre, the adventure, side-scroller? I refuse to say Metroidvania because Metroid came first. Castlevania was a platformer. So adventure hunting game, like scavenger hunting game. Are you a fan of that genre? And are you just not a fan of a character with layers? Stuff to think about. Anyway, that's the end of this review. And I'm getting a call right now, so what a good time to end this review. Thank you so much for listening, for those who stuck around. I don't know how long this review is, but I'm gonna edit this on the phone, and when it comes out, it will come out. But I've said my piece, and I'm good. And to the Metroid fans, go do other stuff. Go explore other franchises because you're not fans of Metroid. Anyway, to the actual Metroid fans, sayonara, take care, have a good one, see you next time.